Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios here in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson. I'm making professional trading simple. And we got that move to the upside today. No big surprise. This is what I talked about in the video last night. Wanted to wait for it to make up its mind for me, and it did. Now, I will tell you that my subscribers newsletter came out a little later than my daily viewers newsletter did. So by the time I did my subscribers newsletter, the futures were open, and it was more than obvious we were going to open up today based on what the futures action did. It took off hard and fast, and it was gone before even the first few minutes really had opened. It was pretty obvious early on in the night that things were going to open up. So I was able to tell my subscribers a little bit more than what I was able to tell you guys went about the markets and what to do when the markets opened and how to play the markets on open and that type of stuff. But we did just mention that you would just be looking for a move above these highs up here, and then of course a move below these lows down here. And I'll show you. I'll show it to you here on the 60-minute. So on the Dow, we were looking for a push above this. We were right in limbo, remember? And I said, you let the charts make up your mind for you. Once we broke this area, this was the time to get long. A really good opportunity to get long would have been had it gapped up and then come back and retested this area here and then shot to the upside. I do not believe that happened this morning, though. But still an opportunity to go long. Once it broke this level, there was no doubt that the bears were going to cover, and that's exactly what we saw most of the day. We had a hard push down towards the end of the day, but I'll be honest, I'm not fooled by that quite yet. I don't think this is done yet. Very close, though. So, even with this little tail that we see here, this was a pretty hard push to the downside. I'm sure it freaked a lot of people out, especially if you were long from the open. But I told my subscribers in my email, which got out late, sorry guys, but that I wasn't convinced this was quite the end of it yet. I will tell you all this. Obviously, the risk is to the upside, not to the downside at this point. So if you entered a short position over here and you're holding it, depends on what your pain level is, but you're not in that bad a shape, really. The down is coming, and I don't think it's that far away. We've been, talking about this for a while. Elliott wave, I think, is called three tops already, and they've been wrong all three times. So eventually, as I've said in all my previous newsletters, eventually they're going to call a top, and they're going to be right. I mean, you can keep. Eventually, you're going to be right. You keep calling tops. Eventually, you will be right. But I would say that from my standpoint, I haven't been doing that. I've been really kind of unbiased about it all. So we're going to continue to let the charts tell us what to do. But I do think we are closing in on at least the near term high here very shortly. Probably we'll find it, if not in the next couple days, this week. I think probably this week we'll find that high. So we're going to really be watching that close. Now I'm starting to see things that it's just time to start looking at that. So anyway, if you're short up here, I wouldn't be too worried about that. We did talk about that on a daily scale, and that being to start taking shorts at this upper trend line area, this channel line area here. I mentioned to my subscribers in their video that we would probably see, or would not be surprised to see, a little pop above it and then a pull back underneath of it, and that's precisely what we saw today. A little head fake coming up and out of it. I'll tell you guys, for those of you that are watching me, don't be fooled. Don't get fooled. Tomorrow we're going to start a new candle just to the right of this, which is going to put us right at resistance again. And I would suspect maybe a little down tomorrow and then maybe a little up tomorrow. Maybe it bleeds over into Wednesday, not sure. But I think there might try to be a close even. There might even try to be a close above this upper channel line. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not biting. I'm not biting on it quite yet. It's awful extended at this level, and I think it's going to end up being a head fake. So don't be fooled. If this thing breaks above this channel line, most of the time, a lot of times you'll hear me say, well, if it breaks above the channel line, go long. I wouldn't do it. You'd be very cautious up here. A break above this channel line is going to want to try to pull you in. It's going to want to try to make you bullish. Fight it. Fight it. Use patience. I would not try. I'd be very careful. I'm going to need a close above this channel line and probably one or maybe even two more closes above this channel line to even start thinking about the potential for a long position. Uh, but I'm not sold on it. Just like it did today, where it popped above that channel line and retreated below it. I think we may start to see a little bit more of that going forward. Don't get fooled. I don't want you guys getting sucked in. So we are really going to start looking at shorts here now, short positions. If you want to play it long, great from an intraday perspective. If you want to play the markets long, I have no problem with that, but I would only say do it day to day, just on an intraday type of a move. Otherwise, if you're long, I would be out by the end of the day. That's the safest, most conservative way to do it. I don't care if we gap up the next day. I would be very cautious. So here we are on the 60-minute for the NASDAQ, and you can see this consolidation. I called this and said that we're moving sideways right into a support area, which is this 20 period, and or we might touch this trend line before we push up. But we saw it bounce right now today. This morning, a gap right up, just as was predicted. So you guys should have been prepared and ready for this today. That, of course, had effect on some stocks, which we'll get to in a second. The NASDAQ on a daily, though, I said watch to take some profits right up here at this upper trend line. Sure enough, that's precisely where. Now, we did push above it, so of course I didn't call the exact top, but no one really can. You just try to take a piece out of the middle. But if you took profits at that channel line, you did very well, because that's exactly where it finished the day when it was all said and done. I'd watch for that line to hold, too. Maybe we get another head fake above it as well tomorrow. Here's that 18-ish area, 1800-ish area I talked about on the weekly. Now we'll see if this holds up here during the rest of the week. Maybe we get, like I said, a head fake above it to suck in the bulls and then suck it back down. This is a weekly candle, so looking at this does not make a difference on a Monday. It only makes a difference on a Friday close. So keep your eye on this as we push forward. SPX on a 60-minute. Here we had the really nice run up. This has been one of the weaker indices lately. I talked about this. But today it was the strongest indice. And probably because of the banks finally making a run back to the long side, which is completely to be expected. So we've actually been looking at that quite a bit. But break up here was a very hard break, another gap up. Once it broke this 105 level, I also mentioned that I would not expect it to do the little head fake and finish back down again, and it certainly did not do that. This time it blew right through it. So this was the time to get long right here. So this is a good opportunity to play it up into this 110. We may end up going, I think, up into the maybe 1120, 1130 area. We'll see exactly when we get up there, but that would be the next level I'd be looking at over and above this 113 to 115 mark. From a daily standpoint, you can see we broke up above the orange line and above this double topping area now, and a close above that double topping area. So that's still looking pretty good for the bulls. Just to close up above, yes, the volume's coming out, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't care. If the market's up, it's up. So it did go up today, volume or not, doesn't make a difference. If you played it long intraday, you did well. Like I said, though, from a swing trader, if you're looking to go long for the next 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 months, man, that's a big risk. It's up to you, but I'm just telling you at this point it's pretty risky. SPX on a weekly, playing with this channel line very nicely. I love seeing this. Now, I think if I move this chart to a non-log scale, I get a little different look. I can't remember. I played around with that for a little bit. You know what? I really like the look of this chart, so I'm going to stay with it. And we are still at the lower channel line of this. Doesn't matter if we poke our head above it as long as we don't close above it by the end of the week. VIX on a daily. I mean, it was down 2%, but not a big move in the VIX to the downside. From a weekly standpoint, still kind of hanging out below this upper resistance. Kind of gonna maybe it'll play once again with this dotted line, maybe as far down to this line as well. But this is where options would be really cheap if we can get the VIX back down into this area here. Apple on a